What if the man we trusted to save the galaxy is no longer the same man? In Foundation Season 3, Episode 4, we're starting to ask, is Hari Seldon still the hero, or has his mission changed him into something more dangerous? This episode doesn't just give us more of the sci-fi world we love. It forces us to look closer at the man behind the plan and question if his choices are still for the greater good. Or for himself. The episode opens with chaos still echoing from the shocking events of Episode 3. Ignis, once a quiet world of mental connection and hidden power, is now the stage for emotional division and growing conflict. Gaal stands at the center torn between following Hari's plan and protecting what's left of her own heart. Salvor's absence is deeply felt, a silence that speaks louder than any dialogue. The last episode hinted that Salvor may be lost for good, and here her memory hangs over every scene Gaal is in. She's starting to question everything, especially Hari Seldon, or at least his consciousness, remains alive in the digital vault. But he's no longer the calm voice of logic and safety. Instead, he's colder, more focused, and perhaps more dangerous than ever. There's a clear shift in how he speaks to others, less empathy, more control. He still claims it's all part of the grand plan, but there's a new tone now, something that feels more like command than guidance. Meanwhile, the political stage grows darker. On Trantor, the Empire continues to tighten its grip while cracks begin to show. Brother Day makes another public appearance, but it's all smoke and mirrors. Behind the scenes, the dynasty's hold is slipping. Demerzel, the mysterious and powerful robot behind the throne, is working quietly but firmly. She's manipulating events, nudging the Cleons, controlling outcomes, but her loyalties remain unclear. Is she still loyal to the genetic dynasty? Or preparing for something else entirely? Back with the Mentalics, the growing group of powerful telepaths who live on Ignis, we see tension building fast. They followed Gaal because they believed in a different future, a future Hari predicted. But now, cracks are forming in that trust. Some start to wonder if they've traded one controller for another. They begin to fear that Hari doesn't want to save them, he wants to use them. A key moment comes when one Mentalic, sensing Hari's thoughts, recoils in shock. "He's not who he was," they whisper. And that one line captures the emotional tone of the whole episode. We also revisit Terminus, where the Foundation itself, once the beacon of knowledge and hope, is beginning to fracture under pressure. With the second Foundation hidden and the Empire watching closely, the Outer Worlds are questioning their place in Seldon's prophecy. Tensions rise as leaders debate whether to keep following the plan or make choices of their own. A quiet rebellion may be brewing, and while the episode gives us some quieter, character-focused moments like Gaal staring at the stars or Demerzel looking in a mirror, it's the rising storm underneath that makes this chapter so powerful. Everyone is moving, shifting, questioning, faith is breaking. Loyalties are changing. By the time the credits roll, one thing is clear, this isn't just a story about saving civilization. It's about whether the people doing the saving are still worthy of our trust. And as Hari's image flickers in the vault with cold eyes and sharp words, we're left wondering, has the plan gone too far? The question echoing louder than any crisis in Episode 4 is this: what happens when the savior starts to act like a tyrant? Hari Seldon, once the humble mathematician who warned of the Empire's fall, has shifted into something harder, sharper, and more commanding. And for the first time in the series, even those closest to him are starting to doubt his purpose. In earlier seasons, Hari's image was clear. He was the man who predicted collapse and pain, but only to prevent worse. He guided humanity not through war or force, but through knowledge, prediction, and patience. He made himself a ghost in the machine to protect the plan, but now his voice carries less warmth, and his gaze, digital or not, feels colder. This episode reveals a Hari Seldon who is no longer just reacting to history. He is shaping it with intention and sometimes cruelty. When he speaks with Gaal, there is a growing emotional wall between them. Gaal looks to him for reassurance, for humanity. But Hari gives her calculations, timelines, outcomes. She wants to talk about people. He talks about patterns. And that's when we realize he may not even care who gets saved as long as the outcome stays on course. There's a telling moment when Hari overrides a decision by the Mentalics without their consent. They want time to mourn and consider their next steps. Hari forces action. "We do not have time for weakness," he says. That single sentence cuts deep. He doesn't ask, doesn't convince, he commands. And suddenly we're not watching a leader anymore. We're watching a strategist who sees human lives as puzzle pieces. Even Gaal, once his most faithful supporter, is stepping back. Her eyes in this episode say everything. She watches Hari and begins to realize this isn't the man who spoke to her in that pod, who promised hope. This is a new Hari, one who may be using fear and urgency to control others, just like the empire he swore to defy. And that's the central conflict now, is Hari becoming like the Cleons, just as the empire clings to control through bloodlines and robotic manipulation. Hari may be clinging to control through belief in his own infallibility. He doesn't need soldiers or thrones. His weapon is the plan and the blind faith others still have in it. This episode also cleverly mirrors Hari's coldness with the actions of Demerzel, while she operates in shadows, guiding the empires. Every step, Hari is doing the same thing from the other side. Two puppeteers pulling the galaxy in opposite directions, but both hiding their true motives. The show doesn't give us an easy answer. Is this the price of saving civilization? Must the man with the vision stop feeling in order to succeed? Or has Hari crossed a line he can't return from? We also learn more about Hari's fragmented existence. There's the vault version, the one we see most often, focused, powerful, driven. But there are hints that other versions of Hari still exist, in memories, in systems, in backups. Which one is the real Hari? Or have they all drifted too far from the man he once was? One powerful scene shows Hari alone in the vault, staring out at nothing. The camera lingers, showing his stillness. But the silence isn't peaceful, it's chilling. This isn't a man meditating. It's a man who no longer doubts himself. And that should scare us more than anything the Empire is doing. As the episode ends, Gaal finally says aloud what many fans have been thinking. "I'm not sure he sees us anymore, just the numbers." And in that moment, Foundation asks us to reflect. Can you still be a hero if you forget the people you're trying to save? In Season 3, Episode 4, Hari Seldon is no longer the quiet prophet of truth. He's a man at war with time, with fate, and maybe even with his own humanity. Whether he's still the hero, that's a question only the future and the people around him can answer. Asterisk at its core, Foundation has always been more than spaceships and empires. It's a story of ideas, of how belief, reason, and fear shape civilization. And in Season 3, Episode 4, those themes collide harder than ever. This isn't just a battle between the Foundation and the Empire, it's a war between faith and logic, between freedom and control. And now, the lines between these opposites are blurring fast. This episode forces us to ask, can logic truly save a galaxy full of chaotic, emotional beings? Hari Seldon thinks so. His psychohistory is built on that belief that people are predictable in large numbers, that emotion averages out, and that the future can be controlled with math. But Gaal, the Mentalics, and even the Cleons are showing us the flaw in that idea. People don't always act how they're supposed to. Feelings, pain, love, fear, they're not predictable. They break patterns. They create new ones. We see this theme unfold clearly in the friction between Gaal and Hari. Gaal represents the emotional, human side of the crisis. She feels grief, guilt, uncertainty. She wants to connect with others, to make choices based on care. But Hari has become the voice of pure logic, focused only on outcomes, on guiding history toward a cold, distant goal. Their conflict is more than personal, it's philosophical. It asks, what matters more, saving billions or honoring the lives in front of you? This tension shows up again with the Mentalics, especially as they begin to question Hari's leadership. These are powerful individuals who live by emotional bonds, not math. They connect with each other through feelings, not rules. When Hari tries to impose structure and force action, they push back. One of them even says, You can't lead minds like ours with numbers. We need trust. That single line challenges the very foundation of PSYCHOHIS to OI. Then there's the Empire. Brother Day is the perfect opposite of Hari, a man raised to rule. Through absolute control, not prediction. But even he is being shaken by emotion and doubt. He's no longer acting like the emotionless god his predecessors tried to be. He's questioning his place, reacting with anger, and making decisions based on fear of losing his power, fear of being irrelevant. And in doing so, he's slowly becoming more human. Ironically, the further Hari tries to be machine-like and perfect, the more Day becomes flawed and unpredictable. Demerzel, perhaps the most complex figure in this battle, quietly embodies both themes. She is logic, an immortal robot following orders. But we're seeing moments where something emotional leaks through. Is it sadness, regret, guilt? She claims to act out of necessity, yet we're starting to wonder, is she starting to feel? If so, she may become the most dangerous player of all. A being of perfect logic, awakening to emotion, hiding behind loyalty. The beauty of episode 4 lies in how it doesn't give us easy answers. It shows us characters trying to navigate this chaos, some with spreadsheets, others with hearts. The clash between structure and spontaneity is everywhere. The foundation was built on math. The Empire was built on order. But both are cracking because of something no algorithm can predict: human emotion. Even minor scenes push this theme. A mother grieving her child on a ruined world. A soldier questioning orders. A young Mentalic having visions they can't explain. All these threads ask the same question. Can you plan the future when people keep rewriting it? The final scene of the episode shows Gaal staring at a star map, tracing potential futures. But her hand trembles. She says softly, "None of these paths feel right." That quiet moment captures the heart of this theme. Even with all the data, the probabilities, the math, she feels something's wrong. And maybe that feeling is more important than the numbers. So, what is the show telling us? That logic without empathy is dangerous. That control without understanding will crumble. That the heart may be chaotic, but it's also powerful. In Foundation Season 3, Episode 4, the battle isn't just between armies. It's between ways of thinking, and as faith cracks, logic shakes, and control slips, we realize the real war is for the soul of the future. Will it be guided by cold prediction or by the messy, beautiful chaos of humanity? Beneath the grand theories of psychohistory and the swirling movements of the Foundation, another storm is quietly growing, one that threatens to shatter everything the Cleons built. In Foundation, Season 3, Episode 4, the Empire isn't just under pressure. It's beginning to rot from the inside. And as the cracks widen, rebellion is no longer a question of if, it's a question of when. This episode puts the spotlight on Trantor, the heart of the Empire, where power once felt unshakable. But that illusion is fading. Brother Day, once confident and godlike, now looks like a man constantly on edge. His speeches still echo with authority, but his eyes reveal fear. The clone dynasty is built on stability, on repetition, but Day is no longer following the script. He's improvising. He's breaking tradition. And that's making people nervous. For generations, the Empire ruled through fear, ceremony, and unbroken order. The three Cleons, Day, Dawn, and Dusk, kept the machine running, but now the machine is skipping. Dawn is curious and emotional, Dusk is bitter and suspicious, and Day is becoming unpredictable. The perfect triangle of control is falling apart. Behind all of it is Demerzel, the robot advisor who once kept the clones aligned and the Empire stable. But now her role is more secretive, more disturbing. She pulls the strings from the shadows, monitoring thoughts, silencing doubt, adjusting behaviors. She claims to serve the Empire, but it's becoming clear she serves the idea of stability, not the Cleons themselves. And if they become threats to that stability, she may be preparing to erase them. This episode reveals hints that the outer worlds are sensing weakness. Once terrified of the Empire's power, they're beginning to whisper about rebellion. Not loud revolts, not yet. But subtle signs, trade delays, secret meetings, missing communications. The Foundation may have sparked a fire, and it's spreading to places the Cleons can't control. The emotional weight of rebellion is also present in the people. One of the most striking scenes shows a minor planetary envoy daring to question Day in a meeting, an act that would have meant death in earlier seasons, but now, Day lets it go, barely. That hesitation shows just how unstable the throne has become. Fear is no longer enough. The Cleons are losing their grip, and the galaxy can smell it. Even within the Imperial Palace, trust is breaking. Dusk confronts Demerzel in a quiet corridor, asking her if she still sees the Cleons as necessary. Her silence is more telling than any answer. There's a chill in their conversation, like a warning wrapped in politeness. Dusk knows something is wrong, he just doesn't know how deep it goes. The episode also hints at something darker: Demerzel's long-term plan. Her loyalty to the original Cleon may not include loyalty to every clone that followed. What if she sees the current dynasty as flawed? What if she's preparing to reset the Empire by ending the lineage entirely? That possibility changes the stakes. Rebellion outside the Empire is one thing. Collapse from within is another. Meanwhile, the Foundation watches from afar, possibly sensing their moment is near. If the Empire stumbles, even slightly, the plan could accelerate, but there's a risk. If the collapse happens too fast, chaos could swallow everything. Seldon predicted many things, but not the personal choices of a failing emperor or a sentient machine questioning its orders. This episode paints a picture of an empire slowly bleeding out, still shining on the surface, but hollow at the core. The rituals continue, the clones still walk in sync, but every step feels heavier, slower, more uncertain. Day's grip is slipping, Demerzel's silence grows louder. And the galaxy is watching, waiting. So what happens when a system built on eternal sameness meets the unpredictable force of change? The answer is rebellion, not just by planets, but by people, by machines, by ideas themselves. Foundation Season 3, Episode 4 doesn't show a full revolt. Not yet, but it makes one thing clear: the fall of the Empire has begun, not with a bang, but with a whisper. And it's the quiet moments, the doubts behind the thrones, that will decide what rises in its place.